Hey there, welcome to this week's session. Today I'll be taking you guys through this toolkit that the organization I work for developed. It's called the Digital Citizenship Toolkit. So before we get started, some background information. Okay, so this toolkit, a toolkit is basically a collection or compilation of resources that can, teach you about a topic or can help you train others as well. So this toolkit, the initial thought process behind this was soon after Digana riots in 2018, when there was a lot of hate speech going online. So basic idea was we thought about resources that were already available. Did people have something that can tell them basic internet etiquette, something that can teach them about fake news, something about hate speech, something that instructs people what to do when let's say they're going through cyber harassment. So we had these ideas, and we had several stakeholder meetings in Colombo, in Kandy, in Jaffna, and asked people, okay, what would you like to be incorporated in this? What would you like to learn about that can help you train others as well? So some of the topics that are covered in the full thing is on digital rights and responsibilities, digital communication, enhancing digital security, digital activism, digital literacy. So I've chosen a few things from this. I won't be covering everything, but a few topics we'll be doing today are digital rights and responsibilities, digital communication, as in basic etiquette, digital security, and safety from cyber harassment, and what to do when you're exploited. So yeah, let's get into it. So before we get into digital rights and responsibilities, I want to run you by some statistics from Sri Lanka. So here you go, stats from last year. It's a bit old, when our population was 20 million. Now it's about 21 roughly. So mobile subscriptions 28 million, internet users 7 million, active social media users of the around 6 million. Then there's 5.7 mobile social media users. Okay, we're going to see from the device perspective, there's about 6.55 million total number of active mobile internet users accessing the internet through their mobile phones. Here are just some top websites that were accessed during 2018. This was released in January 2019. So in 2018, no surprise, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Gossip Lanka. Some YTS is there, Wikipedia, Hero TV. This is the top Google search queries. Surprisingly, Sri Lanka is on number 1. Facebook, there's Gossip again, Gossip Lanka, Hickman, and number 14 on love. Don't know how to feel about that. Okay, so this is just advertising audiences. This is what they use. So 980,000 actually use LinkedIn, which is interesting. Facebook is there, 6 million users. Okay, I'm just gonna run you by what human rights are, what digital rights are these things one and the same? So to get a basic understanding of human rights, it's rights that are guaranteed on the basis of you being a human being itself. So right to life, right to manifest a religion, right to express the freedom to express yourself, right to hold political views. The best comprehensive, I think, document that really states what everyone should ideally be entitled to is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This was signed and ratified by the UN General Assembly on the 10th of December 1948. So, all member states of UN have acceded to this. So, they are bound to enforce these things. They are held accountable to enforce these things. So that was human rights. But what are digital rights? Digital rights are essentially human rights that allow us to create, access, publish digital media, or just access and use computers. So just remember that there can't be a dichotomy between rights we have online versus rights we have offline. This is an interesting resolution that the Human Rights Council passed in 2012, and Sri Lanka is a member state. So they have made this political commitment to uphold this as well. So it states the same rights that people have offline must also be protected online, in particular freedom of expression. Now I'm bringing this up just to show you guys the situation in Sri Lanka, just how well this freedom of expression or this right has been upheld. What about Sri Lanka? How is freedom of expression protected here, especially the things that are posted online? Let's take an example. So this is one of the laws that was passed in Sri Lanka based on this another commitment we took to the ICCPR, which is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. This was passed in 2007, and it says that it safeguards civil and political rights. And 3.1 is something I want you guys to remember, because this is often used by different authorities in prosecuting people. So it just says, no person shall propagate war or advocate national, racial, or religious hatred that constitutes incitement to discrimination, hostility, or violence. Basically saying no one can incite racial or religious hatred for others. So magistrate cannot grant bail, only the High Court can grant bail. So it makes it even more challenging for someone to get out of the situation. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is an author. He's a poet. He's written short stories, and one particular short story he wrote last year got him arrested on the 1st of April. So it was based on this Buddhist temple, and some of the things that were implied were controversial. But this was so controversial that a lot of Buddhist organizations got against him and demanded for his arrest. So this was quite the highlight just before Easter Sunday, that he was arrested, and he went on to being arrested for 4 months until he was granted bail. And this is all for posting something on Facebook, mind you. He posted a short story on Facebook. So this is just a cartoon that came in the local paper. What is happening to the freedom of expression? Because the irony is that racist speech has always been online, and posts against especially minority communities have always been there, have always incited hatred, have always sort of worked up the community to just worry and have concern over these things. But that sort of speech is still rampant, while someone who wrote a short story is put behind bars. So this is another example where the ICCPR law was also used. So this lady wore a dress which had a picture of a ship's wheel, the stern of a ship. But people stated that no, this is actually the chakra in Buddhism, so therefore it is insulting, and they actually reprimanded her. And it was just a huge issue that came about just because she was wearing this. And to some context, this was preceding the Easter attacks. So yeah. So this is just something I want you guys to think about. Freedom of expression is a tricky thing, and there have been instances in the past where people have been arrested, and this law has been biased and misused. But Sri Lanka still has this commitment to the international committee that we will safeguard human rights, and that we will allow people to use that online as well, allow them to have that same freedom. This is just some responsibilities online. I want us to think about, to report bullying, harassing, sexting, or identity theft. someone posts without someone's consent, let's say, and then responsible to cite creative works and resources, so plagiarism, responsible to download music videos and other material legally. I know this is another controversial thing that happens in the Southeast Asian region because of how lax laws are on this sort of stuff, but it's something for y'all to consider, to give creators of such works what credit is due. Responsibility to keep data information safe from hackers, and responsibility not to falsify identity. Okay, so that was a lot, I know. It was bulky, but it's important to understand the framework with which we function online. All right, I'm just going to run by a basic digital etiquette, or internet etiquette, or netiquette as they sometimes say. This is essentially how we respect one another on online forums, just displaying common courtesy when you interact with people. So let's take this example. Imagine you're at a theater for a movie or play. Somebody's mobile phone rings. Instead of turning the phone off, which would have been done at the beginning of the movie, he or she engages in a loud conversation, disturbing everyone around. So what would you do in that scenario? Ideally, you just instruct them, look, what you're doing is really insensitive. People have come here to watch this movie. Can you not bother us? But obviously, this stuff like this should not be even mentioned. This is something people should have, ideally, with common sense. When it's disturbing people, I should probably take this outside. Let's take the second example. You type entirely in capital letters when responding to someone's comment online. You mean no harm, but this could be considered as shouting. You can emphasize one word, but not the entire sentence. So this is something that gets missed. Typing capital is somehow okay, but in the online world, it sounds like you are screaming. So that's the equivalent. General rule of thumb: behave the same online as you would offline. Okay, let's get into what we can do to safeguard our systems and things. So, what is digital security? Digital security is about systems basically protecting your devices, right? Okay, this is something cool you can try out even after the session today. So this is the International Mobile Equipment Identity Number, or IMEI number. So just remember that every mobile phone is unique, and every device with a built-in phone modem has the unique 15-digit IMEI number. This is used to identify your device. So I've used an analogy here. It says your phone's unique thumbprint. You can try it out for yourself. *#06# into your keypad and write this number down. So if you lose your phone somewhere in the trash, or you leave it behind, you want to lodge a complaint, you can always give this number along with it to help track it down. You can go to this website imei.info to learn more things about your phone, but that's at your own risk. So this was a cartoon that was published in the New York Times in the late 90s. It just says, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. But I want you guys to think, okay, does this still apply today? 30 years later, just thinking about Google and all the information it gets on a daily basis about us, it probably knows your exact location right now. And who knows, maybe even your blood type. This is something pretty cool. Every time we access websites, every time we do Google searches, every time we read blogs, we leave behind traces of our activity on these websites. So cookies is a great example. Whenever you accept for them to collect data about you, or collect cookies, you're basically giving them permission to trace you and whatever you do, whatever you look at. So that's how advertisers know what exactly to sell. Like you think of something and then you go on Instagram and it's there. So just check out this website called myshadow.org. This is a great resource, but unfortunately it's not been updated since last year. They have moved to another site, but it acts as an archive and it gives you a lot of information on how you can protect yourself online, how you can be more mindful about what traces you leave behind. So this is something we've all done whenever we made social accounts. What did we actually agree to? When you agree to a platform's terms of service, you also agree to the privacy policy. It describes how they will use your data. But obviously, you're not going to sit through 20 to 30 pages, sometimes even more, of legalese. So on this website, that is myshadow.org, you can find the most important things from these four platforms. So Lost in small print picks are the most important bits for you. But this was last reviewed in May 2018. So just something to check out if you're interested in just how much of your information is going to these guys. Here's just some tips. Try and be smarter whenever you're online. Don't use the same password for every social media platform you use. Way easy to hack. Don't click on random links through email. I've won $1 million, that sort of stuff. I have to just click here and I'll get money. Don't fall for this Nigerian print stuff. Always enable two-step verification. So even hackers, if they crack the password, they still need to get through one more to get through your account. Try and use pop-up blockers, try and use ad blockers, install a firewall. This will help prevent unauthorized access. Try and keep your applications updated, because a lot of these are security related. You can use a data detox kit. Just Google what it is. Basically giving you tips on how you can protect yourselves on different devices and social media. Okay, this is just an example of how you can sign in with two-step verification. So after the password is put in, you need to put a code that will be sent to your phone. So this is just an example, a 6-digit code that will be sent to your phone. You punch it in and then verify. If you want, you can trust your computer, so you won't have to do the second step. But if, say, it's a new computer or you're in the public computer, don't put that option. So this is just a social media campaign done by Sarvodaya. This is in Sri Lanka. Do not exchange your personal information with strangers. So every time you think of a stranger, think of that face. Okay, let's move on to digital safety. What is digital safety? So we spoke about security in securing our devices, but this is more about people. It's more personal. When we use digital and web services, how can we safeguard ourselves? Think about this. To be safe can mean to be secure, but to be secure does not necessarily mean a person is safe. You can have all your devices, with the latest virus guards, but does this mean that you are safe? Just think about gender dimensions of internet usage, right? We know, the internet is different depending on if you're a man, woman, or a child, because of just the kind of people you interact with online. This is something I came across. Association for Progressive Communication, APC. This is also in the toolkit. You can check it out. This is a global network of civil society organizations, and it works to strengthen women's rights activists to use technology tools in their work. When it comes to violences against women, they highlight how that violence is increasingly linked to technology. So think about cyberstalking, think about sexual harassment online, people being surveyed, unauthorized manipulation of women's personal information, including images and videos. And now with technology advancing so much, it's even possible to completely edit a video of a person using this thing called deepfake technology, where the person is saying one thing, but they can be edited to look like they're saying something else entirely. And there are a lot of videos like this out there. Just Google in deepfake videos to see just the extent of what someone can do with a computer to make an unreal situation very real. So this is pretty cool. This is an interesting research that was done quite recently, last year, on cyber exploitation and violence in Sri Lanka. So this was done by 3 groups: the Center for Policy Alternatives, Gosha, and Hashtag Generation. You can check them out. So it looked at how women are discussed on Facebook. This is, as I showed earlier, the most popular social media platform, over 6 million monthly active users. So now it is way more for sure. So they monitored 52 accounts over a period of 6 months in all three languages, and they noticed that there was a clear pattern of speech that was sexist, that objectified them, that harassed or otherwise targeted women. The non-consensual dissemination of intimate photos and videos was another disturbing trend. So this is the reality. This is happening in our own backyard. But where do we go? Okay, let's say we come across situations like this. These are four just websites you can check. The links will be in the description below. These are four organizations. They work very closely with this. Grassrooted Trust, Bakamuno, Women in Need, and Shilpa Sayura. Please check them out. They have great resources on what we can do, how can we safeguard ourselves. So let's take the scenario. Laila and Steve dated for 3 years. Recently, Laila felt the relationship wasn't going anywhere and decided to break up due to differences. Steve is furious and refuses to acknowledge this. He blackmails Laila with explicit photos she shared while they were still together, threatening that he will leak them if she goes through with the breakup. Now, you can pause this video, take a few seconds, think, if you were Laila's friend, what can you advise her to do? Or if you were in Laila's position, hypothetically, what would be your first step? It's important to know these places because we don't know this could happen to someone close to us. The National Child Protection Authority, NCPA, it leads the response of victims and perpetrators under 18. Then there's the Cybercrimes Division of the Police CID. If you are over 18, this is an area you have to go to. Then the Sri Lanka Computer Emergency and Readiness Team, or SL-CERT. They also record complaints they receive, but they also work closely with the CID and NCPA mechanism. So you need to act fast. Like, there's no telling, the longer you wait, the harder it is to convince people, and the more evidence you have, the stronger your case will be. So if a picture or video of you or someone you know is online on a website, you need to inform CERT immediately. This is their hotline number. If you do not receive the support you are looking for from them, get in touch with WIN, Women in Need, on this number here, and report the incident. The sooner you act, the sooner you can get this down. How can you report these cases? So if it's over 18, as I mentioned, contact the CID Cybercrime Unit directly, email details of the incident to both. And if the victim is under 18, NCPA is the place to go. You can also visit their website. All these links will be in the description below. So thank you, guys, once again. I encourage all of you just to check the full resource. It's available on minormatters.org. It's just got loads of information, way more than what I shared, and it's a great resource to learn from. So just check it out. There's also a comic book version coming out, but it's targeted for children, later on this month. So yeah, have a great week. Stay safe.